Rock and roll's biggest legend carried the darkest secret in music history. 5 enemies so personal, so deeply hated, that Mick Jagger took his fury to the grave. These weren't just rivalries, these were blood feuds. One man was physically snubbed, another was told he'd never belong, a third was called harmful to rock itself. And the worst part? Some of these musicians never even knew how much Mick despised them. What you're about to hear will shatter everything you thought you knew about the Rolling Stones frontman. This isn't the charming rebel you saw on stage. This is the man behind closed doors, cold, calculating, and unforgiving. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell because we're about to expose the feuds that shaped modern rock. Number 5. Chad Kroeger, the modern voice that killed rock. We're starting at number 5 with Chad Kroeger of Nickelback, and this feud reveals something most people don't understand about Mick. He didn't just dislike bad musicians, he despised what he saw as the death of rock and roll itself. This wasn't about talent, it was about ideology. It was about everything the music stood for. Mick's contempt for Chad was instant and unfiltered. The moment Nickelback became unavoidable, Mick decided this wasn't just another rival. This was a symbol of everything rock music should never become. Overproduced, engineered, stripped of its danger and edge, designed by committee, manufactured for radio rotation. The turning point came backstage at a German festival in 2006. A journalist casually mentioned that Nickelback was playing the same event. Mick's response was ice cold. "I don't consider what they do to be in the same universe as us." But his real thoughts were even harsher. They were radioactive. Things escalated in 2008 when Chad made the mistake of saying the Rolling Stones were a major influence. When Mick read that quote, something inside him snapped. He slammed the magazine shut and said, "Influence of what? Selling cliches?" According to the people in the room, the silence was deafening. By 2017, Mick had stopped pretending to be diplomatic. In a Rolling Stone interview, he dropped the hammer. "They're not bland, they're harmful. Harmful to the entire spirit of rock and roll. Not bad, not boring, harmful." That's how deeply Mick despised what Chad represented. It wasn't personal, it was ideological, and that made it even worse. Number 4. Joe Strummer, the punk rebel who challenged everything. Number 4 takes us back to the late 70s with Joe Strummer of The Clash, and this feud was personal in a completely different way. Joe didn't just criticize Mick, he challenged his entire identity as a rebel. Mick Jagger wasn't used to being attacked by someone younger, someone who hadn't even been famous for a decade. But Joe came out swinging, and he saved his sharpest criticisms for Mick. In an interview, Joe sneered, "The Stones are millionaire tax exiles pretending to be rebels." That line reached Mick within hours. According to witnesses, Mick read it, folded the newspaper slowly, and whispered, "Who does this boy think he is?" Things came to a head at the Rock Against Racism concert in 1978. Joe spotted Mick backstage and approached him, probably hoping to introduce himself. Instead, Mick looked Joe up and down like he was inspecting trash and said, "Come talk when you've had a hit in America." The contempt was unmistakable, and Strummer never forgot it. Joe retaliated the only way he knew how, through music and interviews. For years, he mocked the Stones, calling them old men playing at Revolution. Mick found every comment, read every jab, and when Rolling Stone asked him about punk bands, he fired back with one of the coldest lines of his career. 3 chords and a slogan don't make you a revolutionary. Even when Joe Strummer died in 2002, Mick's tribute felt more like a final insult than a farewell. No reconciliation, no softening, just 2 men who never respected each other. Number 3. Robert Plant, the frontman who threatened his crown. Number 3 is where things get truly personal. Robert Plant wasn't just a rival, he was a threat to something Mick valued more than anything, his status as the greatest frontman alive. During the early 70s, Plant was rising too fast. His voice was soaring, his presence was magnetic, and that terrified Mick. People who were there remember a legendary moment at Triton Studios in 1971. Plant had just delivered an incredible vocal performance. Someone joked that Mick should try singing like that. Mick's face dropped. Minutes later, he muttered loud enough for everyone to hear, "That prehistoric wailing, not my style." But the real damage came from the media. Every magazine kept comparing them. Plant dethroning Jagger. Is Zeppelin the new blueprint? Mick lived for competition, but Plant's rise didn't feel like competition. It felt like someone rewriting the hierarchy Mick had spent a decade building. The coldest moment came in 1973 after Zeppelin shattered attendance records. A reporter asked what Mick thought about Plant drawing bigger crowds. Nick didn't hesitate. Guess volume sells these days. Loud doesn't mean good. The jab was vicious, and Plant felt it. They occasionally acknowledged each other at award shows over the years. Quick nods, mutual respect on paper. But in real life, there was always that distance, that unhealed wound. Mick never forgave Robert Plant for making him question whether he was still the king. Number 2. Jon Bon Jovi, the polished rock star Mick refused to respect. At number 2 is Jon Bon Jovi, and this feud reveals just how much Mick despised what he saw as corporate rock. The dry-blowed hair, the polished chorus hooks, the photogenic smile glued on for every camera. Everything about Jon rubbed Mick the wrong way. What made it worse was that the world couldn't get enough of him. Bon Jovi was everywhere, stadiums screaming, radios looping Living on a Prayer, magazines calling him the new face of American rock. Mick saw it all and muttered, "American rock? That's pop with guitars." But the real damage came backstage at the 1989 MTV Video Music Awards. Jon walked over confidently, probably expecting a warm handshake from a legend. Instead, Mick glanced at him the way you'd look at a mannequin, mildly impressed by the hair, annoyed by everything else. When Jon said, "Great to finally meet you," Mick stepped aside without answering. After Jon walked away, Mick turned to Ronnie Wood and said loud enough for everyone to hear, "Didn't realize rock stars came pre-packaged now." A month later, during Stone's business meetings, Bon Jovi's record-breaking tour numbers came up. Someone joked they should try a Bon Jovi strategy to reach younger fans. Mick slammed the folder shut and snapped, "I'd rather quit than sound like that." In a Q magazine interview, Mick made it crystal clear. That's greeting card rock. Sweet messages, simple riffs. Years passed, the tension never softened. When both attended Clive Davis's pre-Grammy party in 2013, they stayed on opposite sides of the ballroom. Not a word, not even a nod. To Mick, Jon Bon Jovi wasn't a threat. He was the corporate-friendly version of rock and roll that Mick wished never existed. Number 1. Steven Tyler, the imitator who became Mick's shadow. And finally, at number 1 is Steven Tyler of Aerosmith, the one who irritated Mick like no one else. The wild part? Most people thought their similarities were funny or charming. They had no idea how much it infuriated Mick behind closed doors. This wasn't about imitation as flattery. This was theft. When Aerosmith started blowing up in the mid-70s, journalists kept asking Mick the same annoying question. Does Steven Tyler remind you of you? That question alone lit a fuse. People close to the Stones say Mick would roll his eyes and mutter, "Remind me? He's practically auditioning to be me." It wasn't a joke. He meant every word. But the real feud ignited in 1976 at a New York industry party. Steven walked in loud and charismatic with a scarf-covered microphone stand, the whole Jagger-esque package. He spotted Mick, rushed over, and tried to greet him like they were brothers. Mick didn't smile, he didn't shake his hand. Instead, he leaned in and said quietly, "You're not inspired by me, Steven. You're copying me." The entire room went silent. Witnesses say Steven's face turned red. When Aerosmith performed on national TV in 1977, Mick reportedly sat in front of the screen with his arms crossed, irritated before the first chorus even hit. After Steven did his signature scream and hip swagger, Mick stood up and snapped, "That's me if I'd been put through a photocopier." Brutal. The resentment only grew from there. Aerosmith's big comeback in the 80s made it worse. When MTV asked Mick about Walk This Way, he brushed it off with a smirk. Old tricks and new packaging, that's all. Steven kept trying to be friendly over the years. Mick stayed cold, polite in public, dismissive everywhere else. There's been no reconciliation, no hug-it-out moment. To Mick, Steven Tyler wasn't competition. He was something worse, a living, breathing reminder that someone out there was making a career by copying the very skin Mick had been wearing since the 60s. What these 5 feuds reveal is that Mick Jagger's greatest enemy wasn't just musicians, it was anyone who threatened his belief that he was irreplaceable. Whether they copied him, challenged him, commercialized rock, or questioned his credibility, they all earned his wrath, his hatred, his permanent dismissal. Some of these rivalries lasted until death. Others simply faded into cold silence, but none of them ever healed. That's the real Mick Jagger. Not the swagger you see on stage, not the rebellious icon in the history books. This is the man who never forgot a slight, never let go of a grudge, never forgave, and never admitted when someone else might have been right. These 5 stories paint a portrait of a man obsessed with his own legend. And maybe that's what it takes to stay on top for 50 years. Maybe that's the price of immortality in rock and roll. You can't let anyone close enough to question you. So what do you think? Was Mick justified in his hatred, or did his ego take things too far? Did these rivalries inspire him or destroy him? Drop your opinion in the comments. I genuinely want to hear your take. Whose side are you on? And if you found these stories as captivating as we did, please hit that like button, subscribe for more Music Legends content, and tap the notification bell so you never miss another story the industry doesn't want you to know about. We've got more feuds, more secrets, and more untold stories coming your way. Thanks for watching.